To make the internal part of the puppet hand, you're going to have a piece of foam, the hand pattern piece, and a Sharpie. Lining the pattern piece up as close as you can to the edge, you're going to trace the hand with the marker. Being careful to trace between all of the fingers. It's a little tight, but just do your best. You do not need to press really hard with the marker. The foam is going to feel a little weird when you do this, but you just need a little bit of a line, so just kind of glide it over the surface. And then you're just going to connect the two bottom points together. And then you'll repeat that for the second hand. Next, you're going to grab a pair of scissors, the big ones, and you're just going to cut your two foam hands out from the big piece of foam to start with. And to save yourself some time, you want to try to cut on the bottom lines like I'm doing here. And then I'm going to just use the scissors to cut the two pieces apart, again using the line of the one hand. And then I'm going to cut the outside of the thumb off. And I'm going to cut down so that I'm cutting right on the very top edge of the tip of each finger. And then I'm going to use my scissors to cut in towards the palm of the hand. And you want to be careful not to cut too far, but just enough to cut to the corner there. And then you'll do the same thing on the other side. And then you should be able to just pull the piece of foam right out. And then you're going to repeat that process between each of the two fingers. And I'm using pretty small cuts. I'm not doing it as one big cut, just to make sure that I'm not cutting too far into my fingers. And then you're just going to look at the tips of your fingers, and if there's any like square edges to them, you're just going to use your scissors to kind of trim that edge by using them vertically against the tip of the fingers. And that's it. You should have a hand. And then you repeat the same process on the second one. I am going to speed up the footage for the second hand, just because this video is a little long, but you get the idea that you're going to repeat the same process, being sure to use small, short snips, making sure that your scissors are parallel to the actual hand. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually cut the width of this hand, because we really want 2 half-inch pieces and we are using 1-inch foam. So starting at the fingertips, I'm going to put my scissors in parallel to the top of it, and I'm just going to cut the fingers all the way to where the 2 finger seams meet, meaning all the way to the spaces between your fingers, like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the palm. The palm I'm going to make smaller snips just because it's a bigger piece to have to go through, and I'm just going to keep snipping and pulling it apart until I have cut it all the way through and have 2 separate pieces. And again, I'm going to do the same thing on the second hand. I have sped up the film a little bit here and also zoomed in so that you can see a little better. So again, putting my scissors right in the middle of each finger and slicing the finger in half essentially, and then flipping it over and starting at the base of the palm and making tiny little splits, tiny little cuts until I have cut the whole thing into 2 pieces.